piling up. This one I can't. Giannis, 4 to 6 weeks, the calf injury. It had been bothering him basically the whole night, and he left for good with 34. Yeah, there you go. With 34 seconds left after the game, here's what he had to say. Oh, we're not going to do that. Well, lie to me.
They will tell me probably I popped something in my calf, one of my shoulders or something. They'll probably give me a protocol of 4 to 6 weeks that I'll be out. This is from my experience being around the NBA. After that, I'm going to work my butt off to come back. That will probably be end of February, beginning of March. Hopefully the team win the plays that we can at least make the play or make the playoffs.
So this was a first for me, I think, Lou. I don't remember the last time so shortly after an injury a player gave us a timeline. Is that something you guys just know?
It was relatively fast, but this is all something that he's been dealing with, right? Like, this isn't his first time having a calf strain and a calf injury. So I think they've traveled these waters before when it comes to this injury. What I took from that was at this point he's still a Milwaukee Buck and he still looks forward to getting back on the floor. And like I said, we're in a play-in and trying to get to the playoffs and those things. So obviously that's going to be a question or a concern when it comes to his status as a Milwaukee Buck in the next 4 to 6 weeks or so. But from an injury standpoint, this is kind of fast to be diagnosed, but, like I said, this is something that he's already been dealing with. So I think they already kind of understood what it was going to take to get him back on the floor dealing with his calf strain.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't take anything from this other than him just being sarcastic, really. Like, you could tell by the little smirk he had. Like, I didn't think this was serious. I think obviously he's hurt. Obviously the calf he's had dealt with before, and this is something that you don't want to let linger. But I think this is just Giannis being Giannis. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this is just his way of almost kind of easing the pain and the media question and kind of sitting and waiting and seeing what the actual diagnosis is or was. But you do have an idea, the extent of something. I think when Camille went down with the ankle injury, he knew it wasn't something serious. When it's something like this, a calf, you never really know. And obviously he's been through this before, especially just as early as last season where he kind of went down in similar fashion. I didn't take much of this, though. I honestly thought it was just Giannis kind of doing that dry dad joke, like sense of humor. Maybe I'm way off there, but I thought this was just him being silly.
I also, when the word pop is used, I hate that. By the way, the game itself, he did look disgruntled. And I'm sure if he feels anything like we're all feeling, we're sort of rolling our eyes. Like, I couldn't believe he got injured with a 4 to 6 week situation. And in this game, he looked like, that right there. He walked away from a huddle at one point with Doc coaching. I don't think he was very pleased with how this game was going. Obviously, this trade deadline is looming, Chandler. Does this do anything for how you feel, your opinion on whether or not he gets moved?
I mean, look, he's frustrated. Their team is 18-26. They're not currently in the play-in in the Eastern Conference that we know is not that good. And you've seen the frustration is definitely starting to get bigger and bigger with him walking out of huddles, with him booing the home crowd, with him kind of being a little more vocal than he's ever been before. And they're losing. And so I understand where it's coming from. His name has been in the trade rumors for a couple years now, and it just hasn't happened. And their team, he probably knows they're not a real contender. They're not a real threat to come out of the East or to really even make noise in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know. And then when you see an injury like this, it does feel like something minor, but just enough to kind of get through the deadline and to kind of see where the team is. And is this something that he comes back from? Like, who knows? But I think it's all just because of the state of this team, where they're at, where's he at, trade-wise, and what are they going to do? And obviously he's been very professional throughout this part. He said he's never going to ask for a trade, but it's weird to see him go down like this and this timing of it with the deadline coming around. And then he says hopefully the team gets in the playoffs or in the play-in. Like, it's basically him putting it on them, expecting to be out for a long time. So it's probably not where they thought. It's weird thinking a Giannis team is 8 games under 500 and even in the play-in right now. So frustrations are definitely boiling, but I don't think he's clearly going to be out.
He looks
for a while.
over it. Like he looks over it.
It's all over the place. I really don't even know what to make of it. And especially with the timing of the injury, you know what I mean? But again, he's still saying that he hopes that the team is in a playoff position or they get into a play-in the next 4 to 6 weeks where they can continue on. And as a professional, that's the mindset that you have to take. You have to worry about what's in front of you. And right now, as it stands, Giannis is a Milwaukee Buck. So until anything is different, he has to approach this as a player that's currently still on this roster. You know, no matter how frustrated he is, no matter how much he's over it, until something is done, he's a Milwaukee Buck, you know, and so we can make all of our opinions available and think the things that we want to think. But until then, it is what it is. And so I'm with Chandler. Like, you can kind of see some of the sarcasm. You can kind of see him still kind of being over it and a lot of frustration in his eyes. But he said all the right things. Until different, he's in the green. So he has to approach it in that fashion.
So that's kind of like opinion, what we think he's thinking. But Lou, if you're a GM, if you're a contending team, this injury, does that do anything to sort of squash you if you were in fact deciding whether or not to make a move at the deadline for Giannis?
If I could, and if I can ever add a Giannis to my team, I'm gonna make a play for it. Now, obviously, if I am a GM, I'm looking at this calf injury as something that can be concerning and something that I'm definitely wanting to talk about before I make that move. This is the second time of him dealing with this same injury, and we also know, you know, the history of calf strains is usually something that's going to be linked to a more serious injury in your Achilles or something else of that nature, you know. So that's something that needs to be talked about and is worth being concerned about. But on the flip side of that coin, look, if I'm the New York Knicks or the Miami Heat or something of that nature, or one of these teams that's been in these conversations to get Giannis, I'm still going to make a play for this if this is a 4 to 6 week thing, you know. And so, especially if I'm trying to compete for a championship in this season. Obviously, this is a setback, and this is not ideal now that he's injured for, you know, at least a month and a half, going well into the second half of the season. But I think you still make a play for him if I'm those teams for the long run.
Chandler, I know the Bucks have said they're buyers. They don't want to be sellers, right? I mean, that's what they've said out loud. But now you've got this injury. We've already shown where they are in the standings. It does not look great. Do you go full rebuild now? Do you start moving guys like our guy, Bobby P? Do you start moving Kyle Kuzma?
I mean, Giannis is the only real guy to trade to possibly make their team much different or better or rebuild. It all is going to come down to that guy. Like, yes, Bobby Portis is valuable. Yes, you know, Ryan Rollins, people would love to get, but, you know, you hear that he's not going anywhere. It's going to come down to Giannis. And if I'm other teams and I see the way this season's going for them, 18 and 26 in the 11 seed, and the only 4 teams they're better than are Charlotte, Brooklyn, Indiana, and Washington, and it's miserable to go to that facility every single day. And I know how this goes. When you're on a losing rut like this and you're just constantly going to the facility frustrated, you know, disgruntled was a great word. That's what Giannis looks like right now. And that's probably what the whole vibe is of this team right now, when you have a level of expectation and you don't even come close to reaching them. And so I don't know, but I know the phones are probably ringing. I know if I'm them, I am listening to any single offer that I could get. And if I'm the question you asked, Lou, if I'm one of these other teams, I'm for sure calling even more right now on Giannis. It's not like it's Jimmy Butler and he's 36, 37 years old with a torn ACL. Yes, it's a little concerning because it's his calf, and that could lead to major issues. But I'm calling even more than I was last week after this injury, because they keep losing, and he looks more and more frustrated, and it's probably getting more and more willing and open to do a deal every day that goes by. So this injury, if I'm the 29 other teams, doesn't scare me the slightest.
Man, it's like blood, just chum in the water. They're like,
it almost makes me more excited. It almost makes it easier if I'm another team to call and get them, because now maybe they're picking up sooner.
Wow, you're like, this is like an injured
buy
animal
without selling in this league either. So I don't know what they're thinking with that. But
I think they don't want to hear it anymore. But honestly, this injury is just, it could not have gotten worse timing. It's like the basketball gods were just not having it this weekend, because that's not the only big name injury and big name that's also been floating around as this trade deadline pops up. freaking Morant out 2 to 4 weeks with a UCL injury. Good Lord, he's only gotten to play in 20 games so far this year, and now you've got another setback. Whew, Lou, again, when I say I roll my eyes when this news breaks, it's not in a bad way. It's like, you got to be kidding me. That's how I
This
feel
is
about this. Like,
all the main
now
guys
what?
that's supposed to be traded are now injured.
Yeah. Well,
Lackluster
like, what
deadline.
happens? What do you do if you're the Grizzlies
Look, this is
now?
well. That's why the deadline is lackluster because as you know, this is a domino effect. Once one piece go down, then everything starts to move. I think that big chess piece on the board is going to be Giannis. I think the second chess piece on the board was Ja Morant. Now having both of these guys injured, it gives you it just stalls everything out. And I think this is a different scenario when it comes to Ja Morant in Memphis. You know, they haven't really gotten to the same place that the Milwaukee Bucks in getting a championship out of this with your superstar player. Now him being injured, dealing with everything that they're dealing with, I think very much similar to Giannis. I think the Memphis Grizzlies still continue moving forward with entertaining conversations and seeing what they can get for Ja Morant and to continue to move forward. I don't think that he's a player that's gonna make it past the deadline. Um, that's just the vibe just coming out of Memphis with everything that they're dealing with. So to see him out 2 to 4 weeks, to see Giannis out another 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at this deadline now with these things looming. But like I said, to make those comparisons, when it comes to Giannis, when it comes to Ja Morant, I think both of their teams are still active at the trade deadline and they're trying to move them. So I think Ja is one of those guys that I don't think he makes it towards the deadline. Giannis will be a different conversation, as we'll see.
Yeah, and I think you got to be active in both these situations, but also you have to be patient. At the end of the day, you're talking about superstars, and you're talking about a guy that can change your franchise and that can put people in the seats. And if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you're not just going to go and trade John Morant for just anything. And it's crazy when you look at the Bucks and the Grizzlies in this situation. They're very similar. They're both in the 11th seed. They're both a game and a half, 2 games out of the play-in. They both kind of had expectations to be solid, but not really a contender. Both their franchise players have been in the trade deadline. They're 3-7 and 4-6 the last 10 games. So they're both going through kind of losing streaks right now. And I think as this continues, and now life without those two guys, it's really going to put things in perspective how different it is for the Grizzlies without John Morant on the floor and for the Bucks without Giannis on the floor. Like, it sounds good to say we're going to trade these guys and we're going to shop these guys, but now they're going to see the next 2 to 4 to 6 weeks life without those guys and how difficult that can be and what they really have and where they stand, what their future will look like without them. So it's interesting. It's bad time, especially for John Morant and Giannis, who kind of been through all this stuff. They've been through injuries before. And these are two guys that obviously as fans, we want to see on the floor. But it'll be interesting to see, you know what, you keep shopping these superstars. Now you're going to find out what you're made of without them on the floor because now they're both out.
Well, I mean, in fairness to the Grizzlies, the Ja Morant situation is a little different because he's missed a lot. Like, we get on Joel Embiid a lot, right? But since 23-24, Ja Morant has actually missed more games. He's played in fewer games than Joel Embiid has. And granted, 25 of those kicked off the season self-inflicted. But, like, I don't know if this is one of those things where he is all about his athleticism. And I know it feels like his trade value might be pretty low right now. Does this make it even worse? Like between the games missed and now this?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like you said, Beto, a lot of that time missed was something that had nothing to do with injury. It was off the court stuff that we don't have to rehash. And the way that he got injured was an athletic play. Him trying to go up, find 40 inches off of the ground, trying to get a blocked shot. You know, so you do have some concerns there. Obviously, he's had his fair share of injuries and missed games, but you could see what he's able to do when he's available, you know, with him being in uniform with the Memphis Grizzlies. Hasn't played his best basketball, but you're still going to hedge your bets on, hey, I can really get a lot of good basketball out of Ja Morant. He's still a superstar level player until we start seeing different on a consistent level. And so, yeah, he being in a conversation with Joel Embiid and injuries and missed games isn't a place that you want to be, but I still think there is a window open for Ja Morant to still have a lot of good basketball ahead of him. If I'm these other teams looking around in the league, I'm still making a move for him.
By the way, side note, look at what Joel Embiid's doing this season and right now.
Oh, my goodness.
So there's still
he kind of looks like he had, like, I know we joke about peptides and all the cool stuff that we're all doing these days, but, like, it looks like Joel Embiid had some sort of, like, something came in. Some wellness came in.
Yeah, exactly. So there's still time, especially for guys like John Morant and Giannis. It's definitely concerning though. The best availability is to be available, and he has not been, whether that's injury or whether that's behavioral stuff, he has not been on the floor. And it's a shame because when he is, their team is so much better and he is so fun to watch. I mean, look at that. Missed 128 of 207 games. That's a lot. Like that's a lot. I know, and that's frustrating. And trust me, it's not more frustrating than anybody than it is for himself. So I know he wants to get back on the floor, but now just with this injury, Lou made a good point. It's funny because what injury have we seen a point guard hurt his elbow trying to block a shot on the backboard? Like we've never really seen this kind of injury before. But it's just tough. It's bad timing. These are obviously two big names that we've heard all in the headlines that who knows? Who knows if this speeds it up? Who knows if it slows it down? But yeah, that's outrageous.
That is so awesome looking. Why does it have to be an injury? It looks so cool. What a rip-off basketball. Stop doing this. We all agree whatever happens
next is going to be. By the way.
Yeah, I know. It is such a cool moment. I love a block. We all agree his next chapter, whatever it is, bigger, brighter, elsewhere. Yes, we're all on that page.
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I mean, look at Trae Young he's still yet to suit up for the Washington Wizards, and that deal was done. So,
by the way, I'm glad you said that.
More or less success with the new team. I think immediate more success.
Yes.
But if you're comparing to career, like is he gonna have a better second half of his career or first career? I don't know, because this dude was electric his first.
Also, how are we defining success? Team success, individual stat? That's depends on where he goes, I suppose. Hopefully,
and also look at those numbers are still so solid, and we're looking at career low in minutes. Usually, this is a high minute type of guy. So if he can find a way to get fully healthy and play 34 to 36 minutes, those numbers are going to skyrocket again.
Yeah, if he's at let's just round up. If he's at 28 on his worst season ever, then there's a lot of good basketball to be played if he can get healthy and he can be available.
Yeah, it's like when he plays, when he's active, he plays a lot of minutes. He's just got to be active.
Chandler, can you take me through that saying one more time? The best abilities. No, I want to make sure I get it right. I want to write down.
The best availability is available. Is availability.
Okay, nope. The best ability is availability.
That's that up good.
Yeah, I got you. You know what? I'll test you again at the end of the show. Trade deadline overall. What are we less? We're less than 2 weeks away from this bad boy, and it feels like we're getting all excited and amped. And we've only had one so far. And in past years, we had 25, 27. I don't know, Chandler. I've talked about this with some friends, too, because I'm getting amped with the names that are possibly going to move. But because it's so quiet, what are we headed towards?
Yeah, it's been kind of anticlimactic, right? Like, and I feel like with such big names that we kept hearing throughout the whole process, it hasn't really happened. And then Trae Young kind of goes, and we think that's going to kickstart it. And then there's that big deal. But I think just through how the season has gone with team success, through injuries, through teams, kind of the league kind of being wide open right now with OKC's kind of difficulties in the last couple of months, I feel like everyone almost wants to stand put and kind of doesn't want to make that big splash. Obviously, there's still some time left. There's still the big names, the Giannis, the John Morant, the LaMelo Balls, the entire Sacramento Kings team. Like there is a lot of stuff to still go down, but yeah, I'd say it's been pretty anticlimactic this first week or so.
That's a bummer, Lou. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's going to be a domino effect, and I think it starts and it finishes with Giannis. Until Giannis moves, nobody else is going to move anything because you don't want to move your assets and look back and say, damn, I had an opportunity to get Giannis and I moved too swiftly. So because of things like that, you don't really want to hold your assets. You don't want to do too much. And so until he moves, until some of those pieces start to happen, I don't think we see much movement until this Giannis situation is figured out.
Yeah.
If you're a fringe team, the mindset of a fringe team is fascinating. And you see the teams ahead of you. Like if you're in the West, you're looking up at, by the way, I can't believe I get to say this, Thunder, Nuggets, and Spurs. Do you just sort of say, you know what, there's not really any move we can make that's going to make that much. It's not going to move the needle, Lou. Like do fringe teams just decide we're going to sit this one out?
Yeah, they should. I mean, if they, especially if they feel like they're in a pretty solid place than what they are, and if you can't make a move that's going to make you a championship contender, then I need to stay right in the conversation that I'm in. And again, I'm gonna keep hammering this point ahead. I think all of that is Giannis. Once Giannis moves, then you'll start seeing teams start to fill in their rosters with role players and guys that they feel like they can make them better. But the big fish is still in the water. Until the big fish is moved, there's not going to be much else to do out there in the trade market. So if I'm one of these fringe teams that feel really good about where I am and sitting solid, I'm going to remain where I am and stay in that position.
Yeah, and someone so I think Jimmy Butler was like the worst thing to be is mediocre, and there's a lot of mediocre teams this year, but
Yeah,
that could get you to the playoffs. That can get you, a 3 to 6
especially in the East.
seed in the Eastern Conference, and anything can happen. So I don't think you want to shake the tree. You don't want to change something so drastically when you're in a good position. Like the Cleveland Cavs, right? They had such
Sure.
high expectations. They're so talented. They're deep. They have a little bit of everything. They just haven't met their standards and the expectations that they thought they're going to be. Now you look, they're at the fifth seed. They're 7 games above 500. They're starting to figure it out. They're starting to roll a little bit. And that could just change in a good 2-3 weeks of basketball. The way the standings are breaking down right now, you can make a huge jump. So, yes, there are certain teams like the Heat that I think are going to be active, like the New York Knicks that could listen to this Giannis deal, like the Orlando Magic who have kind of had a lackluster opening of the season. There's some frustrations there. Like there's certain teams that are always going to listen to make the move, but you don't just want to rush and just do something so dramatic just to do it, to think that's going to change everything, because it's not going to. So it's lackluster for us. We want breaking news. We want crazy trade. We love it, but teams aren't just going to do that to appease us.
Well, that's not right. We're going to take a quick break. We got some basketball. We're going to talk some Lakers on the other side.